All right, it looks like we're live. So on today's podcast, I'll be speaking to Forgedincrypto and Timboslice. We're going to go over Seedstarter to begin with because that's probably a good place to start, and then also talk about the Gala Collective. So
Cool,
how you
man.
going, guys?
Good, man. Good. We're chatting a little beforehand, so we got a little out of the way here. I'm sure there's a whole lot of other questions everybody's going to have, but I don't know. Tim, how you doing?
I'm doing phenomenal.
Well, I can tell because of your beard.
Yeah, got a little mojo going right here. What's up?
That's great, dude. I love it.
Well, it's good that like Timbo was having some issues with his laptop doing an update while we're trying to do a stream, so he's on his phone. But quality seems to be pretty good, man. It's impressive. You must be using Samsung.
No, I good lighting in here. We're doing good.
We're doing good. So, like the Gala Collective, man. Like I've obviously like looked at the. Would you consider it a white paper on Seedstarter?
Yeah, I mean, we have the Git book essentially as our white paper. You can get to that through the collective. There should be links to that as well, but I'll send those to you as well. You can post those. But yeah, we wrote an entire Git book, which is basically the white paper. Kind of shows a roadmap of what we're looking to do. And in short of it, the idea of it is it started with the DAO. Heck, I had the idea years ago when Gala was first starting up. The idea of, because most people started to not be able to afford these NFTs, to play with them, and there was a management side to them. There's so much to it, and I wanted to create a DAO that would have these assets that people could come and play or own a part of, get the revenue share of it. And the biggest part was the regulatory side, right? In the States here, if you try to share revenue or, you raise funds for a revenue share type of stuff, it's, considered a security, and that's, bad word. Everybody gets scared of it. So when Jesse started up Seedstarter, which essentially allowed for crowdfunding and the tokenization of the project, I mean, it was a perfect fit for a DAO. As that progressed, we changed it to the collective because DAOs are notoriously, there's good and bad. The idea of them, I find fantastic and, very intriguing to be able to decentralize, whether it's a company or whatever you want in that DAO itself, and provide full access to all the people that are a part of it. But it can become cumbersome and very hard to manage if it's done incorrectly. So it's taken a long time to develop in reality, it's basic, but streamlined to be able to allow access for everybody to, be a part of this whole thing and earn revenue from the actual games that are there, be a part of ownership in the collective itself, which will own the assets, and, be a part of a whole community that are working together to make the games and Gala itself a better place, right? One of the things that we've seen, and honestly, I talked to somebody today that was getting out of the business and he was in Web3, because of the bear market and the community. It's hard to maintain a company in the bear market if all people are looking at is price, right? Price of your token. I'm not saying, putting Gala aside, just all of the companies, regardless of what they're doing, everybody's down, right? The tokens are down and people get upset. And they need a place where the community aspect is focused on what that actual company is doing, right? Like that's what the collective is going to do, is focusing on the games, focusing on the projects that are going in there. And yeah, that's the long and short of it. There's a lot of other questions though, so I'll let you kind of ask those.
Yeah, that's cool, man. Well, I've always got questions, so that's one good thing. But like, in relation to Seedstarter, like what made you guys decide that Seedstarter was the platform that you wanted to launch the GG token on?
Well, first it was the fact that I could securitize it and create a token with it. So when I had been talking with Jesse before he left Gala about a DAO, about creating the DAO for Gala, and that kind of stuff. And so we have been collaborating on all this stuff well before he even left Gala. So once he left Gala, it took him a while to kind of announce the fact that he was doing Seedstarter, and he brought me on as a advisor as Seedstarter, and it just seemed like a great fit. Easy way to kind of push it forward. He has the community at heart, you know, regardless of what happened at Gala, and some of the stuff that he's upset about with Gala. He definitely wants the community to thrive. He is excited still for games and what it can do, and the whole, you know, Web3 gaming side of things. And so that partnership, I think, really pushed me to really want to do Seedstarter. That's where we were going to launch it. So,
oh, you've got another one coming up, Timbo, on your laptop, I think. All right,
what?
Here we go.
Look at that.
Yeah, I was wondering what was going on, man. I thought your computer done an update and then it just like kicked in on its own, but it was like perfectly centered.
Nope, he can't hear now.
Yeah. Oh, he'll work it out.
He'll be there. Nice.
Yeah, well, I remember like
I can't hear you.
Oh, we can hear you, Tim.
Yeah, we
Go
can
and
hear
do.
you.
Oh, he can't hear us, so he doesn't know.
Yeah, I actually logged out of Discord as well because it keeps dinging all the time.
I'll send him a quick.
All right, cool.
Yeah.
Yep, we can hear you.
Good. We're good. We're live.
Okay. Yeah. We got it.
We'll just restart it on here. Yeah, so like I remember years ago, man, like I had like because I used to argue with this guy in XRP community called Hamato, which ended up being like one of the higher up in XRP, and then I think he's working for a different project now. And I remember at the time Jesse Hines ended up following me on Twitter, and I thought, oh fuck, what, like this guy's in XRP community as a lawyer, like is he like watching me for anything in particular? But yeah, man, it was really good to see him come over to Gala Games originally, and it was a shame to see him go. And I'd like him to actually do a post about it to tell us why he left, but obviously, you know, there might be some contract caveats or something that might be holding him back. But yeah, man, like he's been in the space for a very long time, and he also knows a lot of the laws surrounding crypto. Like he couldn't really ask for a better fit as far as you know, dropping this project and not having the SEC or any of these other big acronym name government funded companies, which is what I consider them.
The 3-letter words, you know, the 3-letter agencies, you know. But he's tied in too. He knows people, you know, that lobby at Capitol Hill and stuff too. So he's definitely tied in on that front to be able to get info, keeping up to date with it. So it's great.
So, like you said about the DAO, could you try to explain it in layman terms to someone that doesn't understand what a DAO is at all?
Well, DAO is a decentralized autonomous organization, meaning you take an organization, let's take you name it, and you're going to make it so there's no one person that's in charge of that DAO. The entire community that owns the portion of that, the DAO itself, is in charge, right? So again, that's why we changed it from DAO to collective. It still runs like a DAO, but in the fact that it's decentralized itself, because of the ownership fact of it and the revenue share, but the internal workings is going to still work like a corporation, right? We're still going to have, you know, potentially a CEO. We're going to have a board of directors. You know, we'll have a marketing department. We'll have a treasury, that type of stuff. That is stuff that the collective will be able to vote on. You know, every year, if somebody's not doing their job in that, and or somebody else wants to come in and put their ring in the hat, you know, the owners of that, the GG token, will be able to vote on those people. So to bring them in and run that. And talking about it, why do it that way? Not make it completely decentralized. And me being a business owner for 20 years now, something like that, multiple different businesses, I love the idea of decentralizing it. But to be able to truly decentralize something has to start centralized, right? And the collective itself may actually be able to run and completely be decentralized down the road as it evolves. But to make it run, to start it from the beginning, it has to start somewhere. Right now, it was me and Blake and Tim, you know, and you know, Faz. He was over here chatting with me. What was that? A year ago, Tim? More than that, year and a half ago?
No, right at a year.
Was it right at a year?
Yeah,
Oh yeah, that's right. Because it was right at the end of the season. That's right.
Yep.
So It starts centralized, and you have to build the actual decentralization in it. And if you look through the Git book itself, we have the roadmap of how we're going to try and do that. That's the ultimate goal. And in reality, the token itself, the GG, the revenue share that's going to come from that is going to be decentralized for whoever owns that, right? They're going to get that that side of it. We want to make it so no more than one person can own more than 10%. We might actually lower it to 5% of the actual GG token, right? To keep it as decentralized as possible. The hard part is, if it does get very popular, you get some company that wants a bunch of it. They just make, 20, 30, 50 different wallets, and start, collecting the token.
Yeah.
There are ways around that are potential that we're working with, that we want to implement. Especially as technology evolves, it'll make it easier to do that too. So,
yeah. So if you're going to have like the hierarchy of the company, essentially like CEO or whatever like that, up for grabs and like voted by the community, like it might sound a little bit comedic, but what if someone like Eric himself come in and put his hand up and everyone voted?
I mean, that would be hilarious. I mean, that would be interesting. But if that's what the community of the collective wanted, then that's what we would do, right?
I think we talked about this the other day of kind of the beauty in that. It's a little scary, and you have to you got to have some confidence to create this system that we're creating.
Mm-hmm.
And we believe in ourselves, and we want to run it, and we believe in it, but we're also not selfish, and we try to take the ego out of it and realize somebody might be able to do it better. And I think that iron sharpens iron mentality is what's really going to drive it.
We have to always realize somebody will always do it better. There's always somebody that's going to do something better, right? You're a business owner. You do the same thing. You find people that are going to do a job better than what you can do, right? That's always our goal. And, we want to try and find somebody that aligns with our morality, our ethos as well. But you're always looking for somebody that's going to make it better.
Yeah. Well, even if it's not better on paper, like, when you sit down and do an interview with someone, a lot of people have untapped talent and you can pick up on it. Like, I'm not going to get into what I do at all, but a lot of it has to do with communication skills. And I'd take someone with communication any day of the week over a qualification, because I'd rather train them on the job.
I work the same way, man. We were talking about Blake. He couldn't make it tonight, but he's my right hand man, right? He's a young kid, but he's smart as a whip. He is on top of things. He's very he wants to learn, right? And so he's a very good communicator. Both, one of the key parts of communicating is listening, right? He listens well and applies it, and he's going to be a big part of the collective as it goes forward. Being able to manage things with us. So,
yeah, well, he's definitely got the gift of the gab. But I'd say, like, from everyone that I've seen, like, on the list of, like, people that are essentially behind the Gala Collective, like, it's a really good team. Like, I've met probably half of them in person and then, in person via, streaming. But I can't remember what the guy's name is. He jumped on the chat that you done with Jesse Hines, Seedstarter on Twitter. I think he's an older bloke and he's got white hair. That's what he has on his display picture. Do you know who that is?
You're talking about Simon?
Yeah, that's the one. Yeah, Simon. Because
he's
I've followed him for a while on Twitter and he's got a lot of good insight, sort of. Well, not really insight. He's got good insight into different projects and what they're doing.
Mm-hmm.
So it was actually good to see him because he's always been a little bit like myself, where I'm a bit of a critic towards Gala. Yeah. And like he will actually get on there and says what he likes to say, but you two do the same as well. You probably just do it in, like, Timbo probably does it in the nicest way that you could with optimism. But
hey, I've gotten into their ass a little bit too. I have officially been gaslighted multiple times by them, so we're in the clear.
Yeah. Well, on my last podcast with Titan, and I don't want to make this about myself. Like, obviously, I want to talk about the collective, but I was saying, like, if you look at like Bitbender and all the rest of it on Twitter, they essentially want to be besties with anyone that's a content creator with over 10K followers, instead of actually focusing on the people that build stuff like yourself, like Timbo with the Mafia, well, the Math app, and then also Forge. Like, he's got a whole ecosystem based around the nodes, and I've never ever seen it promoted through Gala. You know?
No, it took me a while to actually get it on the Gala website. I was hounding Brink. I'm like, dude, do you want to decentralize your actual network? Put us on the damn thing. We can actually run the nodes. You know, we'll get your nodes up. Yeah, I think it was OMS. So
Yeah. Well, you'd think Eric himself having 7,000 nodes would be your best friend, you know, because the hosting requirements for that would be huge. And, you know, I'm guessing that nerd node would be able to handle that requirement. Did that come through at all?
Yeah, apparently you didn't hear that he only has to run one node to get all 7,000 up.
Oh, okay. No, I didn't hear about that, but that's interesting.
We won't get into that. That's
We'll stop.
That's a whole nother.
No, but Glitch, you do bring up a great point about the like them going after content creators with a large following. We're completely aware of that, and that's one of the big reasons for the Gala Collective is we know that and honestly I don't blame them for it too, and that's why we're trying to get the Gala Collective to be a large community voice and consolidate to a good singular voice too. You know, like let's gather our thoughts, let's create good initiatives together, and then we can vote on them and bring these actually thought about things to them, and then they know that this was a lot of thought was put into these things and can actually listen to them legitimately. So like yeah, I totally I have empathy for that for them. It does get loud, but that is one of the big points.
Yeah, it's definitely loud and definitely angry people for reasons that may not even have to do with Gala, right? It's just like I said in the beginning, it's the token. Some people get upset about the token. Who cares?
Well, it'd be interesting to say, like with the collective, if you had enough members, like that's a lot of pull in the community. Like it's going to get to a point where the collective, if it become big enough, like Gala's going to have to, bring people that are the CEO and all the rest of the collective to the table and say, hey, what do you think? So that's the part that sort of excites me, because at the moment, like we've all been a part of the community for going on 3 years now. And if you go into the Gala Discord and you just say something that might actually be factual, but not said in the correct, polite way, like there's a good chance that you're going to get kicked out of the Discord regardless of being in the community for 3 years. You know what I mean? So it'd be good if someone like yourselves, like after building this and people jump on board, if it gets big enough where they have to sit down and go, oh, fuck, like we might actually be held accountable now.
Well, it'd be nice to see Gala actually create a board of directors outside of just Eric and Wright, and then part of that board of directors includes somebody from the community or somebody from the collective that's a representative of the community. Would be fantastic. So,
yeah. So another question that I've got in relation to it, man, like I'm not really good at getting in the technicals of how everything works. So I'll try to ask the things that I'd want to know. But like with the token itself, it's GG token. Once you buy that token and when it's live, is that token going to be on an exchange at all, or is that something that would just stay on Seedstarter?
I have no desire to get it on. If it gets on an exchange, it'll be the exchange that puts it on there. Like I'm not going to play the game of trying to get it listed somewhere. I'm not worried about the price of what that token's going to be. The token's a representation of the collective itself and the revenue share that token's going to give you. Aftermarket, that's up to you who owns that token. If there's going to be liquidity pools that are out there that are started, great. That will create that secondary market. The first and foremost, though, is the people that own it are going to earn the revenue share and be able to vote within the Gala Collective. So.
Yeah. And when I spoke to you previously on Discord, because when it came out, I was excited about it. I wanted to ask questions. And one of the questions I asked was like, if you have 10,000 GG tokens, like how much voting power will that give you in the ecosystem? And by memory, you said that no matter how many tokens you have, it's pretty much one vote per wallet. Is that correct?
Correct. Yep. And we're going to try and make it as hard for people to like distribute that token to different wallets as possible. There's different ways that we're looking into it. Obviously purchasing it right now through Seedstarter, you have to KYC. So that's the easy way to do it, right? And then once you distribute it from there, though, it becomes a little bit more difficult. There are some projects right now that are being made that will KYC wallets. So it's not the actual person itself. It's a third party that does the KYC. And for us, we would just use that wallet, knowing that that's a one wallet per type of situation. So that's a potential that's out there. There's in-game type of aspects that we're working with, meaning NFTs that are utilized within a game to be able to vote, which would make it harder for people to bot that, and or they'd have to hire a bunch of people to get in that game and travel across a map to get to the voting booth and vote in there and do that kind of thing. So there's little aspects that we're working on to make sure that it is as close to one wallet per vote as possible.
So things might get messy then if someone just like an exchange goes, oh, this looks interesting, and just lists it, because then they're going to just be able to buy it from somewhere where you don't have to KYC and essentially start up many wallets. Is that correct?
Potentially. It's a weird one to think about, because if you think of an exchange trying to list it, right? Ultimately, that exchange is going to be a voting power because of the wallet that they own. So if people take it and they deposit it on that exchange becomes a one wallet vote. And that can be a pretty large, amount of those tokens being taken out if it ever goes that route.
Yeah. This might be a bit silly because I've never built anything like this, but like if you've got a website and you have say it's like the Gala Collective website after the fund rounds have been done already, like the funding rounds, with that, if you had a portal there, could you make it so once you connect your wallet, you do have to KYC as well through Gala Collective?
You could, but
vote?
In all honesty, I'm not. There's use cases for KYC. I'm a proponent in some cases not, right? Legally, if I need to, I will use it. If we don't have to, I don't want to, right? There's no need for me to know your name and address and everything else if I don't have to. Like, I don't want to have to do that. There's no need for me to do that, or the collective itself to have that, right? So if we can get around that without having to do that, we will. And there's like I said, with the NFT aspect in the voting side, will definitely be a way that we can do that. So it will help with it at least.
So in the first funding round, like how many tokens will be available to purchase?
So we're doing 5 million out of the 21 million total. So there's a potential second funding round that we're going to do, but there's a lot of interest of people that want to bring their assets to the collective in exchange for the token, which we're 100% wanting to do. A couple aspects that we have to work on. One is we need to create a board within the collective that's going to create a standard that will look at these NFTs and give a fair market value offer for those NFTs. Because if Timbo comes in with his ancient lava tank and I have my ancient lava tank and we both want to sell it to the collective, right? One, we're both a part of the collective, so there's kind of this conflict of interest, right? And then if somebody outside the collective has a lava tank, what's the better price? What's going to be the best possible decision for the collective? And so we want to create a board that's going to create that standard and be completely open, and so everybody can see what that looks like. So if they do buy all of my NFTs, well, maybe I just sold them super cheap and I was basically gifting them to the collective, and it was better for them, right? It wasn't me just trying to get out of my assets, which I know there's some people that want to do that, but I want to make it fair all the way around, right? There's and it's difficult, but I think with the board itself and an actual very transparent evaluation process, everybody will see that it's a fair and equitable way to go about it. So we'll have the second round of another 5 million, but there's 21 million total. And so the ultimate idea is to own nodes within the collective, which is going to generate revenue. So we're going to have to purchase some nodes, assets themselves, and games that are going to be live and earning, such as spider tanks and any of the other games that start to come through. So there's revenue generated off of those. And then there's key assets that the DAO wants to, or the collective will want to purchase, like a Citadel, potentially.
Yeah. I like the idea of a Citadel. Like anyone that's into Mirandus and it's been here for as long as us, like Mirandus is the game. You know what I mean? That's the only reason that I come over. Like if they come out with something that can compete with like World of Warcraft or bring that sort of nostalgia that we had in the vanilla days of World of Warcraft, like that's going to be huge. So
yeah. No, I want a Citadel. I am working my ass off to get a Citadel in different ways. So we'll see. There's certain people I'm talking to see what can happen and see if things can work, you know. But again, it needs to be fair and equitable, both for the person or people that own these assets and also the collective, right? I can't, in good faith, as we're moving this down the road, make it all about me, right? I want the people that we bring in to be a part of that. And as soon as we possibly can, you know, those people are going to be a part of all those decisions. So those big decisions like that. So.
Well, I've spoken to both of you for a while now, and like I can say for myself, from my point of view, like my perspective is that both of you aren't self sort of people anyway. Like I don't think I've seen either of you been in a situation where you've taken the greedy route. It's always been for the betterment of the community.
Well, you know, that's what I know Timbo and I are both on the same page with that. That's why we're working together here too, is too many times in Web3, blockchain, crypto, there's a lot of false people out there that are for the community. Yet when it comes to it, you know, all of a sudden they drain their wallet, they sell their NFTs, they rug pull and that kind of stuff. And so again, with the collective itself, we're trying to set it up so it's literally impossible for anybody to do that. Like we don't want that to be a possibility. As much as you possibly can. So keep the faith of the people. So
yeah. So Timbo, like I want to ask you some questions as well. It's sort of weird, man, because the way it's set up with this, I have to look down. So it's like you're at the bottom and I don't know how to move things.
I'm looking up to you, Glitch.
Oh, lucky I got Forge there then. You can look up him as well. But
yes.
So you guys said that you discussed this like 12 months ago. So like what brought the original idea around? Was it the direction that Gala was going in? Like did you say that the community didn't really have a voice that, you know, was actually being listened to? Like what's your perspective on that?
Honestly, it was pretty much the same thing. I think Gala was in a tiny bit better of a spot by then. You know, years gone by, it's really worn down on people. But yeah, it was about the same thing. Also, we had seen at that point, it was kind of the climax of a lot of these DAOs, and we'd seen a lot of them already have failed from not doing the right things. You know, they just people aren't doing the right things. And obviously we're going to be the ones that do it the right way, right? And so that's where it originally came from, and now we're here. It's Forge and Blake have put a ton of work in on doing that. I've been building them off with Deadly a ton, and all of it's been community centric to build things for the community. I mean, we've kind of tackled it from the two different sides. I've gone the gaming side, building the systems so that when the collective comes on, we have a place to run tournaments for everybody. We have a place to get these assets out to everybody fairly and make it fun, make it about games, make it cool, make it the place you want to be, and give fun, make having the GG token worth it. Like making it to where, right, like that's the whole point. We don't want it, we don't care if it's on an exchange, and that's what's going to make it powerful. It's like we've gone the slow and steady route. We've done it the right way. We haven't taken money from greedy people. We haven't, we have our hearts in the right spot, and that's what's going to actually make it work in the end. So I'm pumped to work with Forged on it. Like, yeah, the amount of hours and thought that's gone into this is really cool to see it come to fruition.
Yeah. Well, I'm flicking through like the list of people involved, man. I'm like, fuck, this is like the dream team. So like I've had conversations outside of like, live chats and all the rest of it with Forge, and I'm like, just take my money. I believe in you guys more than what I believe in Gala itself at the moment. And I think like, if Gala succeed, well then the collective succeeds, and it goes both ways, because this might be exactly what the community needs to be able to pump Gala up, make them more accountable, and actually get the ball rolling. Like, I just wish that some of the stuff that you yourself have built with your team, Timbo, was actually being implemented and, you know, promoted by Spider Tanks and other things. Because like I haven't gone on there myself because I sort of don't want to waste the time of something like the server, because I don't play Spider Tanks. So like Spider Tanks has really pissed me off with how they've handled everything. And, you know, like, I don't think it's the Spider Tanks team itself. Like from what I can read between the lines, it seems like, you know, oversight by Gala itself. I think if they just sort of open it up more to the team at Spider Tanks, like, who knows what could happen for game media. But that's just my opinion once again.
Well, that's, and I mean, you're preaching. Like, that's exactly what it is. We want that. We believe in Gala, the idea of what they are building, right? Every company has hiccups, little, you know, mistakes that are along the way. And we just want to help create a great space, man. Like, they have good games. They have great people there. That's like, we want to support that. That's the whole reason we're here. Evan Wave asked, has Gala leadership commented on the idea of the collective yet? And I've messaged Brink about it a lot. He's read through, at least what he's told me, he's read through the Git book. He likes the idea a lot. We haven't gotten official like support from Gala corporate yet, but I also haven't asked for it yet. So
yeah, you don't really need it, do you? Really?
No, and I don't want to go that route to where it's them saying, "Hey, go with these guys." I want the community to come to us, and I want the community to spread their voice to Gala, to then say, "Yeah, these guys are great." I am going to try and get on Brink's podcast and talk about it as we start to go into the actual funding round to get more eyes on. The actual reality is we don't need a ton of money to push it forward. We're only, I mean, if we get to the 150K mark, we're going to push it forward. That's enough to cover expenses and whatnot. And we have enough assets that want to be allocated to the collective to make it run and make it work. And then it will grow from there. So yeah, and that's kind of the goal in terms of Gala corporate. So we want their support. Don't get me wrong. We want their support 100%.
Yeah, well, it'd be better if they, you know, you did have their support and they're not trying to push back on the whole idea itself. But at the same time, like, the cool thing about crypto is that you can do something like this and, you know, put yourself in a position where, you know, you have a voice. But like, I've come across your guys' wallets a couple of times through like just dabbling in OpenSea, and you both have enough there anyway to be able to at least have some different NFT assets available for the community to be able to test stuff anyway. So there shouldn't be any problem with that.
Yeah.
All right, just something's going wrong on my side now.
No, you're right. Punjab asked too. He said, "How do you think these game items will earn? We know how Spider Tanks earns through renting. I assume you need a PP player, top play, this stuff to earn. Not sure how renting will work with other games. You know, and we don't know that yet either. There's the idea of multi-accounting is not approved through Gala unless it's for nodes. Hey, look at that.
I got pumpkin bread on delivery, or banana bread on delivery. There you go.
Can you send her over here? It's only halfway across. Well, no, we're all the way across the country. Quick.
I'm all the way now, yeah.
But Punjab, to answer your question, that's, you know, that is Timbo and the Mafia's wheelhouse, 100%. This is one of the reasons why I want them to be on board from the start, is the ability to create a way that everybody can utilize whatever asset it is in those games to earn and to get good players, and not just the good players, but the players that want to play, right? Give them access. So that's 100% what the Mafia does, and they do a great job. So
yeah, Punjab, I mean, you're familiar with the Moth Madness leaderboard. It could be something similar like that. Like, I mean, think about how the possibilities are limitless when we have all those assets together, accumulated, working together, because we can run tournaments for them. We can have some assets given to GG holders that want to play. We can have people compete for them constantly and have it fun, and it's, you know, actually playing the game, have people who care about the games. And right, we need to remember, like, the collective will be about making money and having that revenue share. So it will be about utilizing these assets to the best of their ability and it so happens that utilizing them to the best of their ability is getting them in the players' hands that want to play them. So it works out that well.
Yeah, and it's not always like the best player with the best NFT always, right? Like,
Right.
Yeah, they'll have them a lot of times, but the ability for the tournaments and the people that work through them off, in their Discord and all the internal games that they have going on allows anybody to really kind of earn the ability to play some of these assets. So, and making it fair, trying to make it as fair as possible for everybody. So,
I mean, you got raffles, you got giveaways.
Yeah.
I mean, all types of stuff. Especially with Spider Tanks, does do a good job of making them very easy to lend to people.
Yeah.
It's very quick, and so, I mean, you have so many different ways we can do it to make it fun and get it in everybody's hands.
And you have to believe all these games are going to implement something along those lines that make it easy to lend them. So, yeah.
Well, that was good, man, because like my stuff played up, so I muted it out. But it's pretty much like some of the questions that I forgot, you pretty much just knocked on the head.
Good. There's people asking them, so I was just going down the list on the side here. So
yeah, well, I was going to say to people, if you had a question, put it in brackets, and then we'd go over it. But it's good to be able to catch it in real time anyway, because once you start getting 8 or 9 people talking at once, it's like a wall of text.
Yeah. Well, General Kazan just asked a question too. That's a really good one. So, will the Gala Collective just be focused solely on Gala Games Eco, or will you consider expanding out of Gala Eco? So that's 100% going to be the Gala game or the Gala Collective's decision once it gets fully distributed. And so the goal is, after we go with the first live round, which is we're going to go live at the end of the month, at the beginning of next month, whatever it is, the 1st of October. And we're going to go 90 days. So we're going to go to the end of the year. And then the collective will be live and running at that point in time. And we're going to be appointing people in different positions. And at that point in time, we have a 12-month roadmap. At the end of that 12-month roadmap, we're going to do basically an election. So there'll be 90 days for, elections for people to get into those positions that were ran by, Black Harp, the Mafia. I got a couple other people that are going to do some things as well. And then at that point in time, then it's the collective's job to then put people in place. It could be the Mafia that's still going to run it, or it's going to be Black Harp, or whoever it's going to be. But as we go down that route, the collective's going to have assets. They're going to have the ability to say, hey, we really like Star Atlas. We want to be a part of Star Atlas. Like, we love Gala, but man, Star Atlas is the shit. Like, let's get on it. And they'll vote it in, and we'll do that. So, but right now it's Gala, and it's Gala focused, because this is the community that we've basically were born in, right? Like, we have a lot of other assets and other games, but the Gala community from the beginning was amazing. Like, that drew me in. Like, Galaverse 1, that's where I met Tim, right? We sat down and met each other. I remember, so the story with Tim, it was, so if he moves his head to his right just a little bit, you see that little NFT and behind him? No, there you go. So when he was bidding on that, he was bidding against myself, and he was bidding against Benefactor. And Benefactor is messaging me. He's like, who the fuck is this Timboslice guy? I'm like, I don't know. I thought it was you. I thought it was one of your Smurf accounts that you were bidding against me again. And he's like, it ain't me. And so we were trying to figure out who it was, and then he ends up winning it. And I hadn't heard of him. I'd never seen him on the Discord, but he was around because I ended up searching his name, and he had been in there. I just never really kind of noticed him. And then GV1 came around, and we had been chatting a little bit. And we're like, dude, let's meet up. And we did, and hit it off, and, just kind of created that friendship. And there's a lot of those that I've built through the Gala Games community. And this is why I want the Gala Collective, because there's a lot of good people there, and a lot of people that have, a stake within the games and within that whole community. So that's why.
That's a pretty cool story, though, to be able to outbid yourself and also Benefactor.
I mean, in hindsight, I can't believe I won that one. So
yeah, it was funny. We were both just like, what? Who is this guy? He's out of nowhere. I totally thought it was him too. No joke. I thought.
It's funny because I was in this room. I had nothing built yet in here, and it was me and Deadly. And I remember doing that, and it was, I mean, I was a nobody at that point. It was a fun moment.
Well, you're not a
Good get, man.
nobody,
Good
man,
get.
if you can compete with those two, so you don't mind.
You're right. You're right.
Yeah, well, that was General asked one of the questions I was going to ask as well, because like Gala Collective, the name itself, it's sort of like I was going to ask if it's like pigeonholing you into just Gala itself, but it's good to know that you guys are open to be able to go into other Web3 games too, because why not just take over everything?
I mean, if we can build a system that works, why not? Right? There's the whole idea of Web3 gaming isn't one ecosystem, right? There's going to be a litany of different ecosystems. You got the Magic, treasure, the treasure DAO. You've got, Myria, if that's really going to be anything. But you got Playable. They're becoming a little interesting with their community and kind of how they're building stuff. Then there's a lot of independent games that are out there, Web3 games. A lot of actually extraction shooters, which is interesting. I think work really well in the NFT game that are out there, that are going to get a lot of hype that I think people are really going to like and want to be a part of. And hell yeah. I mean, if that's the way we go, that's the way we go, man. So
Yeah, I think
glitch is glitching out.
Yeah.
No, I think let's be honest. It's been hard. Like everybody's been mad at Gala, but we're mad at Gala because we care, right? We love them. It's like it's all. There's a saying in baseball. It's like if your coach isn't getting mad at you, he don't care about you, right?
Yeah.
So
if he ain't yelling, he doesn't like you.
if he ain't yelling at you, he's giving up on you. So, I mean, we're just not giving up. We believe in them, and yeah, we buy a private jet here, we lose 160 million here. It's all good, man. It happens.
It's all a day's work. It's all a day's work.
I mean, burn 600 million. That's fine. That's good.
We're good.
I was
Maybe
actually
the Collective will buy a ranch.
We could do that. Start a commune.
I was going to say,
we're starting a cult, guys.
Yeah.
I was going to say, if we're going in this direction, we might as well get liking on the cast, but I think we'll.
No, all love.
Yeah. No, you said it right, dude. Yep. We love it.
I've always hated the name Gala itself, man. It just makes me feel of dresses and high heels. Like, I just wish they never chose Gala, but like now that I've been in the community for a long time, I sort of look past that. But that is what it reminds me of.
I just think of the apple. I just keep the apple in my head. Don't think of that.
It says, you guys look at the potential life of a specific game? If so, what things do you look at for longevity and popularity? Again, this is going to be a community aspect. Right now, in the beginning, we're going to look at games that we know the collective can earn on, that has a good development team behind it that we believe in and that we think the community really likes, right? We know for a fact people like Mirandus. So there will be Mirandus assets that will be bought by the collective. Spider Tanks, as much as it's looking a little shaky to get some, updates that came out, and I still think it's going to do well. It's a good game. People like it. They still play. There'll be those assets there. But as it moves forward, it's going to be a collective. Like, we'll analyze it from all different angles to make sure that we're presenting to the owners of the GG token of what we think is a good idea, and listen to the community as well. They're going to let us know what they think, and then we'll put it up to votes, right? Which way do we want to go? Every quarter we're going to look at the finances and say, hey, we've got $200 million. Do we want to buy a jet and some, spider tanks? What do we want to do?
Well, that's a question I got for you then, man. Like, this is something that I've seen, like, I've definitely spoken about it many times before. Like, Gala itself doesn't have much use case if every single game's going to have its own token. And what I've said in previous podcasts is like if you guys are coming out of the collective, you're buying the assets, you're getting the different drops of the tokens, all the rest of it. Like, what happens when a game dies? Like, there's no staking through Gala. There's nothing at all that actually protects the buyer. So what are you going to do if, say, Spider Tanks just goes, fuck it, and then just they turn off all the silk, all the assets, all everything? Like, there's no use case. So...
Well, let's look at a couple different ways, right? So Spider Tanks is going to go under. If it goes under, it's because either people don't play it or there is a dispute between the devs of Spider Tanks and Gala themselves. Well, let's look at what just happened with what's the game that just got brought into Legends Reborn. Let's look at that. Like, let's say a game is being developed and then all of a sudden it's live and it goes away, or it's like, hey, we can't continue development. The actual collective can come in and can look at offering to be the developer if the collective likes it, and say, hey, we want to help fund this and move it forward. We have ideas that we want to keep this game live. We like this game and we want to buy in and own this game. We're actually talking with some game developers about coming to the collective as well, so to be a part of it.
Yeah, that's really cool. Well, if you could implement something like that, that would be the saving grace, in my opinion, because there has to be something. So it would actually give more use case to the collective if they could do that, because, you know, like just having your assets just sitting on like Gala itself, like if they just turn it off, they don't care. Like look at Town, man. Like I had an argument with Bitbender on Twitter. I said, if you have a token for everything, look what happened to Town. You're going to get a reputation of this is the company that creates the token that gets listed on exchange to die.
Yeah.
And then who's going to take them seriously?
You're speaking to the choir on that one. I fully believe in the one token system. I don't like the multi-token, every game having their own token. So
yeah, well, it dilutes the reason to have the Gala token itself anyway. Like, why have it?
If you listen to the cast today, the Gala Gazette that we did earlier, because we got into that same exact thing. We talked about it, and that's exactly what we talked about. Is, you know, they're just putting these tokens out there to extract value. There's no need to have its own token, right? The only reason that I see out there is to extract value the way that they're doing it now. Now, there's been ways that have been brought up for tokenomics that could potentially work with an extra token, but why, when you have a Gala token that literally right now has almost zero use case, because you're not using it for gas right now. At least we're not seeing it. It's not coming back to the nodes, right? You know, you use it in the store, but that's only for, you know, maybe what you're doing there and what little sales that are there. Like, you have all these games that can use it. There's no reason not to. So in reality, we have to also look at that they're putting so many games out. Games are going to die. Like, it's just the way that these go, right? Not all games are going to be successful. Every game, they're going to have 100 games, and in reality, 50 of those are going to probably die, and 50 of them will be, and then 25 of those are going to be crappy to mediocre games, and then you're going to have 25 that are, you know, okay, and then you're going to have 5 or 10 that are great. So
yeah. Well, I'm still here anyway, but you know, that's what I liked the idea originally about the exchangeability between the different games. Like if you bought a Vox set, you might be able to use it in Mirandus, you might be able to use it in like all these different games. Like that's sort of a saving grace as well. But you know, like they spoke about it, everyone got hyped about it, and then it's just like you don't really hear anything more about it now. You know, like they have these really good ideas, which is frustrating being a community member to just watch them not come to fruition at all, or pretty much not be spoken about at all. And instead we pivot to these shit things that no one actually wants.
Yeah, I think. Go ahead.
Well, that's one of the biggest lessons like we have learned ourselves is you know, they made it in good faith in the beginning, and they was so hopeful, and you got sold on that dream, and every little promise that was made sold somebody on that singular promise. Like somebody fell in love with a dwarf Vox and wanted it in their specific game. You know, the Vox looked just like them, and they were sold on that specific little aspect of it, and then when it doesn't get implemented, it hurts. And we've seen that over and over again. And you know, from our perspective with how we're trying to launch stuff with Moff, is kind of like when you go to a restaurant and they say, hey, it's an hour wait, and it ends up only being 30 minutes, right? Instead of the other way around. We want to, you know, just launch stuff, and instead of stop talking, stop making promises, release stuff, and don't get everybody's hopes up all the time. And they are definitely having to put band-aids on all those wounds that they've caused.
Yeah, well, there's a lot of band-aids at this point. There's not really much room for anything else. So.
I mean, that's part of the collective, right? I mean, that's what we're trying to do, is like we can get a list. We can go back with get the Old Man Smithers list, and we can have that together as a collective and help them tackle one by one the things that matter, and
Yeah.
and talk to them, and just have civil conversations, and they don't feel like, you know, the riots and the pitchforks and torches are coming out, and we can just have talks with it about it.
Yeah, we're doing things too, like that's not just games as well with the Gala chain itself. Where I'm talking with them about building the marketplace for Gala, right? Obviously, I have to have access to the chain to be able to build that. But we're getting closer to see if that's something that they want us to do, you know, and that will be, you know, we'll build that, and the collective will own a portion of that, right, at a point in time. So,
like we've all spoken about many times, all of us, like it needs to be a seamless experience. And if you get on something like Splinterlands, like the whole marketplace, everything's all built into the one thing. So you just go to the website, you can sell your cards on there, you can buy the cards, you can play the game, you can do absolutely everything that you need to, all on their website, you know. And if, like, for yourself, like if you built a marketplace for Gala, would that be implemented on the actual Gala website itself as well?
that would be a requirement for sure.
Yeah,
they would want it to integrate into your Gala account, to where you can log in and, you know, you can seamlessly be able to, you know, list, buy, trade, that type of stuff.
Yeah. Well, Deadly said, does the collective have any plans to acquire Epic Games so we can make Rocket League P2E?
That's actually the first thing we're gonna do. It's the absolute
Yes, we're first shooting for Epic Games. We're gonna get all the Gala games launched on it.
Yes.
And then get Fortnite P2E, and we'll own Fortnite.
Done.
So,
hey, Zoro.
Yeah, Zara's actually finally in. Usually he's a bit quicker than this, so I'm a bit disappointed in you, Zara. here's another optimist in the community as well. So, like, it's just you know, like once you start seeing people like yourselves like complaining, like, you know that there's a problem. So,
yeah,
for me, I'm a bit temperamental in nature, so it doesn't take much. But, you know, like,
hey, no complaining, just constructive criticism. So
yeah. Well, like you said earlier, Timbo, you know, like when we first got in, it was just all Gala. The Gala node was going to be the node that ruled over all, you know, and that's what made sense, and that's what sold the idea to me. And, you know, it's all hindsight, isn't it? Like, if I knew what I know now, like, I'm super glad that, you know, maybe the money that I've invested in Gala is actually worth less than meeting people like yourselves. So that's always like the silver lining. But yeah, I don't know, man. Like, if I knew what I did now, I don't think I'd be in it. So it's yeah, it's sad to see the way it's gone, but fuck, like, maybe they know something I don't. Maybe I'm just too stupid to be able to understand.
I'd still be in it. I own a lot more than I actually do now, but I also would have sold a whole ton more in November 2021. I mean, if I knew now, you know, like, come on.
Oh yeah, well, if I knew it was going to hit $1, man, I would have, you know, bought at 0.007 like I did, and then waited for the dollar, and then sold, and then catch you later, guys.
Come on, build me a time machine.
So, like, how do you think, like, this is just in Gala itself, how do you think the token's going to perform in a bull market with so many tokens saturating the market for Gala? What's your perspective on that, being a charts guy?
I mean, a rising tide lifts all ships. Realistically, I think the thing that's going to hold this actually rolls really good with when you look at Ripple, right? Ripple in the last bull market it underperformed in what probably it would have outperformed a lot of stuff because of the hype and the community it had behind it, if it wasn't because of lawsuits from the SEC and that kind of stuff. I think that the internal strife that they have right now needs to be resolved soon to allow for Gala to grow. And if it doesn't, if it continues on through the bull market, it will grow. It will, you know, go up from what 1.3 cents it is now, or 0.1, what was it? 1.3 cents. Yeah. It'll go up from there, but it's not going to perform as well as I would have expected it to, had there not been the legal issues that were going on internally. So it's just putting a black mark on what they're doing. And so unless they resolve that, the token price, I think it'll go up. And when I say up, like, yeah, 50 cents, but pale in comparison of what it could do when you think in 12, 18 months, when they have 20 live games that are out that, are potentially earning, and potentially their chain out, and running all that stuff there, that's a big deal. And, they need to fix the internal strife to make it so everybody's confident that they're going to be doing the right thing. Even though they say, hey, everything's continuing forward, even though this is happening, don't worry, we're still building. Look, I've ran companies. If you have that internal strife, you have that stuff that's happening, it is a weight on that entire company and the people that work for it, and then the community as well. So this is my call to them to fix their shit right now. Right? Like, I sent a couple of emojis out. It's like a couple kids fighting over a donut or something. It's like, come on, it's the battle of the billionaires. Get over it. There's the community to think about, not your other jet. So
yeah, that's funny that the jet's like such a thing that sticks in everyone's mind as well, man, because like you start getting into it and the jet gets brought up no matter what. I just find it amusing.
I mean, it was a bone of contention, in the Discord before it even got brought up into the in the lawsuit side, right? It was a bone of contention in there. Like, holy shit, Gala owns a jet. You guys are selling Gala tokens, and you own a jet, and it was. Which, look, companies have the right to buy assets, and I think it's actually a really good thing for companies to utilize their assets and diversify. I think it's actually a really good thing, because what if they were just holding the Gala token? It'd be worth, 1.3 cents. Well, if they bought assets with it, those assets are not going down as much as those tokens are, and it was a smart move. But you can also use those assets now to help move that company forward without depressing the token like they are now by selling, $5 million worth like they did just recently. So, I mean, again, we're getting off task here, but
yeah, well, we're pretty much coming up to the hour mark anyway, man. And like, most people have, like, there's 2 that have dropped in the last couple of minutes. So that usually what happens around the 45 minutes mark. But I wanted to ask like a personal question to Timbo, because it's something that I've always wanted to know. Like, you seem like it, like pretty much just been a Gala maxi for the time that I've known you. Like, are you interested in other projects, or do you play other projects' games?
I have been in Gala the entire time. I think where I have diversified is putting more time and investing more time in our community. I see our community as its own project. We have the cave. It's our own puzzle game that we're building out. We have big plans for that. We want to build our own games. We want to build Moth Madness will be built into other games. So yes, we build into other games as well. It pays to be the number one, and like it pays to be the top of a community, right? Like you put that time in, you put that effort in. I care deeply about the Gala community, and that's kind of where I said I'm going to buy in. I'm going to buy in, and no matter how deep it gets and how dark it gets, we're going to keep going and spend this time in here and see if we can make it worth it. And if it doesn't work out, I will have learned an immense amount of lessons from it, and we can move on. But I'm going to keep crushing it and diving in deeper and trying to make Gala work through any way we can.
Yeah. Oh, that's good to hear in a way, though, that you're so bullish on it anyway. And then you're also a part of the collective as well, because I know that Forge dabbles in a lot of different stuff, but I sort of see him a little bit as like a chart fiend, because he seems to be able to pick up on like small movements and be able to jump on things quick before anyone else does. But yeah, like when I watch you doing the charts in that Forge, like I don't understand it at all. It just looks cool.
It's magic. My old business partner used to always ask me, he's like, hey, I'm looking at this this stock or this whatever. What do your tea leaves say? Tell me what your tea leaves say. And it's, I mean, charting is, I mean, that's how I started in like investing wise. I used to, invested my own 401k, and I started doing that kind of stuff. And then crypto, I started to do the same thing with crypto, and it just got deep, and it's just kind of my fallback because I manage my own money for my family and some of the foundations that I have. I manage the money for them, and it allows me to feel more in touch with what the market's doing and feel like I can at least catch movements in a way. I'm never going to catch a bottom, never going to catch a top, right? But at least, I'm going to be able to, ride those waves in a way that's going to be beneficial for myself and that money that I'm managing. So,
yeah. Well, Dudley said I have the same face watching Forge chart as Timbo does watching me code.
That's funny. Titan is always complaining whenever I do charts too. He's like, God damn it, charts again.
Maybe because he was a financial guy for so long, he probably hates them. I don't know.
That's exactly what it was. Yeah.
Yeah. So for anyone that does want to buy into the collective, or at least the idea of it, at the moment, Seedstarter has the test in the waters phase. Is that correct? So you can essentially put down your interest, like in buying the token when it is released.
Yeah. So right now it's just a test in the waters that just gives us an idea that we have people that are interested in actually being a part of the collective and to put money towards it, so we can then say, yep, we want to go forward with the actual live listing and take the actual money. So it's really just a way to get the ball rolling and see where the interest lies. So
yeah. And like I seen on there that it was like 150,000 minimum essentially as a pledge before you guys actually kick it off. Like if you don't hit those sort of numbers, like, is that something that you might extend and wait for the community and sort of get the idea out there a bit more, or is that just it?
Well, I'll put it this way. If we don't get to $150,000 from the community for the collective with some of the stuff that's probably going to be announced throughout the 90 days, then we're going to probably scrap it and rethink what we want to do realistically.
Yeah. I reckon you might be surprised if that did happen, which I'm sure that it won't. If you got rid of the Gala part at the start of it, who knows what might happen?
You never know. Well,
But
that's actually how it all started with the DAO itself. It wasn't just going to be the Gala DAO. It was just going to be a DAO. That was going to be for Web3 gaming itself, like all the way around.
Players DAO.
Players DAO. Exactly. Yep. So that's how we started. We decided again to do the Gala itself because we feel that community really, really needs it, and there's a lot there to push forward with. And there's a lot of players in the background that want to see this happen, both within Gala, both outside of Gala that have staked interest, whether it be NFTs or nodes or whatnot, that want to see the collective successful. So I would be really surprised if we didn't hit that 150 mark.
Yeah, so would I. But that's the thing, man. It's like anything, like you both have an understanding of business, and like for these sort of things, it's like promotion through the roof. You know what I mean? It's like, Gala, when they release a game, it's like fucking, you got to promote the shit out of that if you want to get people that are on board. But at the same time, like, you're doing it more from a grassroots perspective, like enough people, if they want to find it, it's there, and then slowly sort of build up instead of probably getting a lot of whales in that just want to throw their money around thinking it's something that it's not.
Exactly. Yeah. I want the community in first.
Well, that sounds good. Well, it's been good talking to you both. It's a shame that my camera decided to play up. Like, man, you can't win with these things. Like the camera's a Sony IV, so I was around $3,500 my money, and then the lens is like $1,500. So you're looking at a $5,000 camera just flicking on and off for no fucking reason at all.
I'm over here using my cheesy little laptop camera.
Yeah, well, that's the thing, man. Like for me, it kept pissing me off all the other cameras because it kept giving me red face, and I don't even drink like alcohol rarely at all, maybe twice a year, and it made me look like an Yaki. So I'm like, I don't want that on there. So I ended up
getting Alki. I'll remember that.
Yeah, well, we like to abbreviate everything or shorten it. So I try to keep it under wraps when I'm talking to Americans, though.
Nice.
But if you don't mind hanging around, man, that'd be good for a couple of minutes, and
Yeah.
make sure that everything's working on our end, because I don't think it's recorded, but it still does some sort of weird upload thing at the end.
Oh, I wanted to say too, you can go actually to Forge. I think actually on the Forgedincrypto.com, there's a link to the Gala Collective now that has a bunch. I haven't even looked at it yet, but I think it's up and running. So it has the link to the Discord. It should have a link to the Discord there, the Gala Collective Discord, the Forgedincrypto Discord. It'll have the Git book for the Gala Collective, all that stuff. So, and if you can't find it, just text or just message Tim, myself, Glitch. They'll get you there.
That sounds good. And if I ever do go to a Gala like a Gala, what do they call them, where everyone meets up with everyone?
Galaverse.
The Galaverse.
Yeah, Galaverse. That's the one. What did they originally call it? Like, just off the top of my head, because it was something like sounded like a scam. It was. It had a weird name.
It did. You're right. It was GalaCon.
Yeah, GalaCon.
GalaCon.
It's like,
GalaCon.
you don't want con at the end of it. But if I ever go to one of those, Timbo, I'm gonna do like the rap battle thing, and I'm gonna take your necklace.
Okay. Hey, I'll make sure to wear my Snoop one that I have.
Yeah,
You can have the dog father one.
Nice.
that sounds good. Well, we're gonna end it there anyway. Thanks for coming on for a chat, and thanks for those that listened in and talked in the chat.
All right, guys. Thanks. Take care.